Well, universal grammar, and when you say universal, it comes from the universe. It has to do with all the languages of the universe. So if we encounter aliens and they speak languages, our universal grammar should cover it, theoretically speaking. Interestingly, a lot of times in the context of linguistics, the word universal, which is an adjective derived from universe, is actually used more often as a noun. For example, you talk about universal grammar, in which universal is an adjective, but we also talk about language universals. And in this sense, the word universal itself has been used as a noun to refer to anything that is universal about language. It could be a rule, it could be other kinds of statement about language. In linguistic theory, the term universal as a noun is used to refer to a linguistic characteristic of language, to something that applies to all languages of the world. The concept of universal grammar was introduced in generative grammar, generative linguistics, with transformational linguistics, which is the theory that was introduced in the 1950s by Noam Chomsky. And that's because generative grammar is obsessed with universality. We're not just happy to know about a specific language like English. We want to know about all languages. So that's the desire underpinning universal grammar. I don't want to just write a grammar that is good for a language. I want to write a grammar that is good for all languages. And these universals are sets of constraints or set of rules or principles that apply to all languages. When you engage in universal grammar, UG, you may make specific statements about all languages, but in a particular domain of linguistics. Although the statement or rule or principle is universal, it is still specific to a particular domain. For example, you could be making a statement about the phonology of all languages, or you could be making a statement about semantic universals, syntactic universals. In other words, UG is concerned about principles of human language, all human languages. It is concerned about the universal logical patterns of thought that give rise to those principles. It is the theory of universal grammar. In linguistics, especially generative linguistics, universal refers to a property that is claimed to be common among all languages. In this sense, one of the main goals of linguistic theory is to specify precisely what these properties are. To write a grammar that's not about a language, it's about all languages. It's a theory of human grammar. In other words, the concept of universal grammar itself is based on the assumption that all of us as humans have a cognitive system that is shared among all of us. It's something biological. We are endowed biologically, not just with the capability, but with a specific device that enables us to understand any language in the world, but also to speak the language. So as a child, if I put you in China, you will grow up learning Chinese, but if you grow up in the US, you will learn English. And these two languages obviously have so many differences. So how is it that you're capable of learning Chinese, but you're also capable of learning English, and you're capable of learning any other language? It is because you are born with that device, the biological device. So language universals depict the general features of the way human language is designed. It provides, so by it I mean universal grammar provides a theory of the human language faculty or language. And this theory consists of language properties that are said to be biologically necessary. And in this sense, language universals are one step along the path of understanding all of the intellectual capabilities of us as a species, as a human species. This seems kind of abstract. Let me be more specific and give you an example of a particular thing that you might encounter in universal grammar. All languages have nouns. All languages have verbs. In other words, all languages have noun phrases and verb phrases. Every single language in the world has that. Therefore, this is a language universal. It's a universal property of all languages. In universal grammar, we have a universal base. It is the base from which all the rules of all grammars can be generated. Some of these rules have no exceptions. These are like hard rules. These are absolute universals. But sometimes there are relative universals, which are language universals, which may come with specific principled exceptions. The purpose of linguistic theory is to discover universal grammar. We want to discover all the laws of language, human language. In the same sense that the purpose of physics is to understand the physical world, to discover all the laws of the physical universe. Universal grammar is out there to discover all of these laws, but this doesn't mean that it has already discovered. It's just the beginning. The physical world is out there to see, observe, and experience, but it doesn't mean our knowledge, the science of physics, is perfect. It's just the science of physics is just a branch of science that constantly evolves. You all know that there was Newtonian physics, and now we have Einsteinian physics, and in the future we'll have new forms and theories of physics. Like people speak languages. We just do it, but our theory of how we come to speak these languages is constantly evolving. Universal grammar provides for properties that are abstract and account for what Chomsky terms the language acquisition device. The grammar of a specific language, say Japanese or English, is a specific instance of UG and may contain statements that are specific to that language. All languages have a word order, which means that there's more or less a fixed word order in every language, although some languages are more flexible in their word order. But if you have subject, verb, object, there's different possibilities. There could be SOV, there could be SVO, VSO, VOS. Theoretically, all of these are possible. But when you come to learn English, you learn that the dominant word order is SVO, in the same way that the dominant word order in Persian is SOV, subject, object, verb. In this sense, universal grammar tells you that there's word order, but a language-specific grammar tells you what that specific order in that specific language is. Since we don't know everything about all languages of the world, dead and alive, you need to know that we don't know yet how much languages have in common. So this is something that you could debate and question. Like, how do we really know there is this underlying grammar from which all these specific grammars can be derived? That's why there's criticisms of universal grammar, because it's an ongoing process. We are yet to learn about all these languages, dead and living, and universal grammar are still evolving. This was just an introduction to universal grammar.